To solve this pair of simultaneous equations, I need to find a value for x and a value for y that work for both of them at the same time. When I'm doing this algebraically, the first thing I want to do is get rid of either the x's or the y's. This will make it simpler to solve. To get rid of the x's or the y's, I'm going to use one of my 4 techniques. Looking carefully at these two equations, I can see that if I add them together, then the plus 2y and the minus 2y will cancel each other out. So, I'm going to add them, and this will get rid of the y's. So, I'm going to add here, here, and here. So, 3x plus 5x is 8x, plus 2y plus minus 2y cancels out, so I have nothing. And 19 plus 5 is 24. Now I can solve this equation to find x. To do this, I divide both sides by 8. So I have x equals 3. I'm now halfway through. I know what x is, I just need to find the value of y. To do this, I can use either of the two equations that I was given. I'm going to choose the top one. So that's 3x plus 2y equals 19. I know that x is 3, so this x is actually 3. I can now work out that this is 3 times 3, so that's 9, plus 2y equals 19. I can subtract 9 from both sides. That gives me 2y equals 10. And I can divide both sides by 2 to get y equals 5. I now know that x equals 3 and y equals 5. In an exam situation, I always want to check that my answers are right. I worked out what y is by putting x into this one here. So to check they're right, I'm going to put x and y both into this one here. So I've got 5x minus 2y equals 5. And now I want to substitute in the value of 3 for x and 5 for y. So we have 5 times 3, that's 15. Take away 2 times 5, that's 10. Does that equal 5? Yes, it does. So we know that our answers are correct. Just out of interest, if I was to draw these two graphs, they would look like this. And the answer that I've just found is here, where the two lines cross. I have x equals 3 and y equals 5. So to summarise, I got rid of the y's by using one of my techniques, and here are the answers. Here are 2 for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers. For this second one, I suspect a lot of you may have substituted the value of 7 into this first equation here. You will have ended up with this. X minus 3y equals 1. X is 7, so 7 minus 3y equals 1. Subtract 7 from both sides, so minus 3y equals minus 6. And divide both sides by minus 3 to get y equals 2. Now you do get the same answer as this here, but it's much more difficult because of this step here. Because I'm more experienced, I saw it was much more straightforward to substitute it into the second one and get the answer this way. Let's have a look at this one now. There would be no point adding these two together because neither of the letters will disappear. However, I can see that plus 2y is the same as plus 2y. So if I take these away, these will cancel out. So I get 2x plus 2y minus plus 2y is nothing, and 24 minus 16 is 8. Now I can divide by 2, so I have x equals 4. Now I'm going to substitute the value of x equals 4 into the first equation. So that's 5x plus 2y equals 24. X is 4, so that's 5 fours, 20, plus 2y equals 24. subtract 20 from both sides, so 2y equals 4, and divide both sides by 2 to get y equals 2. So my full answer is that x equals 4 and y equals 2. For this one, I can see that 2x is the same as 2x, so if I subtract these ones, this will work for me. 2x minus 2x is nothing. Plus 3y minus y is tricky, so I'm going to write it out over here. Plus 3y minus y. Now plus 3y is just 3y. Minus next to each other can be replaced with a plus. So this is really 3y plus y, which is 4y. So here I've got 4y, and then 18 take away 10 is 8. I can divide both sides by 4 to get y equals 2. Now I can substitute the value of 2 for y into the first equation. So I've got 2x plus 3y equals 18. And I know that the y is 2. So that's 2x plus 3 times 2, that's 6, equals 18. I can subtract 6 from both sides to get 2x equals 12, and I can divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 6. So my completed answer is that x equals 6 and y equals 2. On this last one, minus 2y is the same as minus 2y. So if we subtract these, it's going to get rid of the y's. Now that I've given you that clue, press pause and have a go at this one yourself. When you're ready, press play. Your full answer should be that x equals 9 and y equals 2. Here are 2 questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers. In either case, you may have substituted into the first equation rather than the second one. You should still get the same answers. Here are 2 more for you. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers. And so we return to the question that we started this whole clip with. I want to get rid of either the x's or the y's. If I add these 2 together, that's not going to work. If I subtract them, that's not going to work. So I need to do one of these 2 things, multiply and add or multiply and subtract. I start by labelling my 2 equations. Now I can see that if I wanted to get rid of the y's, I could multiply this one by 3. I would then have plus 3y and minus 3y, so I could add them together and the y's would disappear. If I wanted to get rid of the x's, I could multiply this one by 2. I would then have 4x and 4x, so I could subtract and the x's would disappear. I'm going to show you how to do both. So I'm going to start by leaving this one as it is. That's the same as multiplying it by 1. So I get this. I'm going to multiply this one by 3. So I have 6x minus 3y equals 18. Now I can add these 2 together. So adding these 2 together gives me 10x. When I add these 2 together, they disappear. And adding these together gives me 25. Now I can divide by 10 to get x equals 2.5. Now that I've worked out x, you can find the value of y yourself. Substitute this value of x into either the top equation or the bottom equation to get the value for y. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here you can see that I've used the first equation and my answer is that y equals minus 1. If you choose to use the second equation, you should still get the same answer. So the answer to the question is x equals 2.5 and y equals minus 1. Now remember, I said I was going to do this 2 ways. This is the second way. I've left the first equation as it is, in other words I've multiplied by 1, and I've multiplied the second equation by 2. This gives me this. Now I can subtract. So when I subtract these, the x's disappear. This bit's a bit tricky. I've got plus 3y minus 2y. Now this plus just means that this is 3y, and these two minuses next to each other can be replaced with a plus. So this gives me 5y. 7 take away 12 is minus 5. Dividing by 5 gives me that y equals minus 1. Now I can substitute this into either of these two equations to find the value for x. Obviously, because it's the same question, I get the same answers as before. X equals 2.5 and y equals minus 1. Here's one for you to try. Remember, you can multiply and add or multiply and subtract. If I was you, I would multiply and add. The best of luck. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here's the answer. I'm hoping that you multiplied the first equation by 4 and then added them together. Here's another one for you to try. On this one, you could multiply and add or multiply and subtract. It's up to you. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers, showing you both possible methods to get the answers. Here's the most difficult type of simultaneous equations question. You've got two choices. You can either multiply the top one by 4 and the bottom one by 6 and then subtract, or you can multiply the top one by 3, the bottom one by 2, and then add. The choice is yours. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers. I've done it both ways. I hope that you picked the way that you felt more comfortable with. You should have the answer x equals 0.5 and y equals minus 3. Here's another one for you to try. For this one, you can use a calculator if you'd like to. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here's the answer. I've decided to multiply the first equation by 3, the second equation by 4, and subtract. You might have done it another way, but you should still have the answer x equals 24 and y equals 32.
Now, the only way to get really good at simultaneous equations is to practice. So here's a selection of questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers.